Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh. Everybody, I'm Preacher Mars, host of the SOS the Shout Out Show. We are broadcasting from Sydney, Australia, down under, brothers and sisters. As I say, I want to give a shout out to all my Aboriginal brothers. I'm going to tell you guys in advance, we do have some not audio issues with the Shout Out Show. They are doing some massive construction at this hotel, and the powers that be weren't able to accommodate me. But they've done actually, I think they're taking a little break now. Let me thank everybody for reaching out, kind comments from last week's show. Where's Malcolm when you need him? That was one of our first shows that we did back in 2020, still relevant today. I want to also give a shout out to those who are uncommitted up in Michigan. Shout out to you, and peace and blessings all around. Also want to give a shout out, condolence to Muta Bill, better known as Napoleon, lost his brother. In the Nahalehi in Ilahi Rajoon. Feel for you, brother. Anything we can do for you, let us know. So I'm gonna ask everybody to kind of deal with me a little bit with this noise. I don't know where it is, but you know, if you ain't up by 10 o'clock, you're gonna be up because they're gonna wake you up. So a couple quick notes. We went through some primaries, and I came up with this title, brothers and sisters. I thought it was really important to start talking. To really start talking in concrete terms about what we're looking at in terms of our new leadership. You know, there is an impetus now where we have brothers like Brother Dr. Cornel West, who is an alternative candidate, and he is reaching out to the Muslim community. Alhamdulillah, we got him, met him, beautiful brother. But he's also bringing a certain amount of awareness that we really haven't sat down and talked about at the Muslim dinner table in terms of our agenda, what we're moving forward to. Today's show, brothers and sisters, is called Revolutionaries Don't Have 401ks. Again, that's Revolutionaries Don't Have 401ks. What does that mean by that? It means that the scope of leadership in America has changed. Much the same as the current condition when we work. Let's say when we work, we don't plan to be at our job 20, 30 years to retire. We don't plan to do that. We look for advancement and we look for opportunities. If we're in a business where we think we can do the business better, many of us will go into that business and start our own business. The leadership business is different because you are supposed to be representing the people who elected you, also representing the people who did not elect you. It's a follow through to last week's show. Malcolm emphasized the fact that as a part of being a revolutionary, as a part of being a visionary, it comes at a cost. Whether it's credibility, whether it's financial loss, whether it's lost life, it comes at a cost. And at this point, we find ourselves, which is very, I think a very pertinent point, we find ourselves seated at the table at the enemy, and that enemy feels that they have equality with us. That we look at our leaders now literally sell us down the river and then ask for our vote. They literally slid out, folks, and we watched this. This is what it is for Palestine, Gaza. You're literally watching these people kill folks and then come back into the mainstream. Like there's no repercussions. Like I didn't see what I saw. And this is really important because when you start looking and expanding about things that you've been seeing over the last couple of years, January 6th, the insurrection, what you're seeing, brothers and sisters, that people who felt that, they feel that they're not having to be accountable. Accountability has nothing to do with it. What it has to do with it is placement and positioning. And amongst it, people believe that the public sentiment will change to many, in many regards, support their behavior at this time. Very retroactive. That people will do things and think down the road, 3-4 years, people look upon their actions as patriotic. Well, here's the deal. People do that. They do that for the most abhorrent, despicable things. They look back and counter history, painting them as some type of hero, painting them as some type of patriot. So they're not killers. So they're not criminals. They are avengers of American justice, and we got to get back to that. So listen, we're going to take a quick break. Give you guys a break from this noise real quick. This is Shout Out Show with Preacher Moss. Don't you move. Okay, everybody, we're back on Instagram. We'll give a shout out to my little brother Marlon Hill. Is going to be appearing with Ali Sadiq. I think that's March the 2nd. I believe that's March the 2nd in Paps Theater, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Make sure you go out and check him out. We got the nurse, Halima. How you doing? We got Lillian. We got Marlon Hill. We got Soon Army Cred, Joey, Mo Salada, Green Medical Online. Thank you so much. So let me get back to this very brief point that I introduced before we started the show. The title of the show is called Revolutionaries Don't Have 401k. That has largely to do with the fact that America has had a contingent of people who have issued revolutionary arguments, revolutionary action, due to the fact that the oppression is real, and understanding that the oppression is real, it's not sustainable. Life is not sustainable under these situations. Case in point, the infrastructure of America is built upon the fact that people were sent here because they were oppressed peoples. They were oppressed, they were underrepresented, they were marginalized, and on top of it, largely uneducated. That's how you got America. There's a book called Poor White Trash. I'll say that, everybody read it if you get a chance. And it gives you the whole understanding of poor white trash and its impact in America. And I'm telling you this because you're looking at the evolution of poor white trash here in the United States. The only thing that's been counterfactual, countercultural to poor white trash is poor black people, poor Native Americans, poor, who are not brothers and sisters, part of the cultural genocide that you see. They're part of the cultural solution that's been missing. They are cultures that survive in spite of everything. Let me give you this breakdown, and maybe you can think about it. What would you say if someone hated you? They hated everything you did, how you dressed, how you talk, where you live, your education, your religion, yet would somehow be nervous if you separated from them, if you went away from them, if they told you they don't want to be around you, if you say, fine, I'm leaving, that action makes them nervous. That is America. That everything that they hate is everything they're trying to take from us. Anything in the context of progress, cultural development, I'm talking about intellectual capacity growth, has always been a fear to these people. Our revolutionaries here in the United States and abroad all had several things. They had several traits in common. One had to do largely with the fact that they became self-educated. I'm going to encourage all of us to become self-educated. Disconnect from the media. Disconnect from the media. The media doesn't work anymore. There's no investigative journalism. Their job now in the media is not to give you, they give you stories, but they don't give you facts. They don't give you evidence. Somehow they've been released to that. Why am I saying that? I have a broadcast journalism degree, and the first thing they tell you is whatever you write, you better be able to back up. Not only back it up once, you better be able to back it up 2, 3 times. You have to be beyond reproach when things come out of your mouth or you type things to put out in the general public. That's one. The second thing about revolutionaries is the affinity to look for growth and excellence and brilliance amongst like-minded people. What am I saying? There's no civil rights movement if Martin Luther King is above the people that he serves. Malcolm X is not above the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but under the auspices of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in spreading the message of Islam. You can say at what level of Akida, but I would say at a huge level of effectiveness, he is able to go out and spread this message and attribute it, attribute it to someone who, in today's language, we'd say, oh, he's illiterate, oh, he's unlettered. And the third aspect of the revolutionary, the true revolutionary, is they are excellent teachers in time and space. Excuse me. Excellent teachers in time and space. Meaning that they can take a single article and speak to you about the condition that you're in now, also the condition that you've been in, and successfully predict where you're going. Over and over, our revolutionaries, they didn't live long lives. They don't. You can look at why they didn't live long lives. You can look at the scope and the psychology of why people would not want them to be around. Most importantly, there's a courage derivative that you have to look at. You know, we have a thing in Hollywood now. You have a thing in general society about being canceled. You know, when I said revolutions don't have 401k plans, we don't look at the end game because many times we don't see ourselves at the end of the end game, right? So if you're putting something out there as a teacher, when you teach children, you're teaching children with the understanding that you have a very limited amount of time to be effective in that space. And once they leave your classroom and they leave your grave, whatever the year that is, we are in the scope that we pray that we've been effective. We don't get to see the end result. All our revolutionaries, if you watch videos of Malcolm X before he was assassinated, he knew he was going to be assassinated. King knew he was assassinated. You see, the scope of being a revolutionary is not that you have a thirst for longevity. You could be dealing with physical death. You could be dealing with career death. You could be dealing with financial death. You know, these are the realities when you start speaking out of turn. And worse than speaking out of turn, these are the realities when you start teaching. And once you get to the platform of where you are teaching, people have questions that have long been wanted to be answered. Let me give a shout out to my folks and the people. I'm gonna give a shout out to Sister Ree out in Houston. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sister Ree, how you doing? Hope all is well. Hope your father's doing well. Peace and blessings to you, Derek and Juwan. I want to give a shout out my main man, Altaf Sharif Rashid. We call him Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. Our Canadian envoy. How you doing, brother? Wa alaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, beloved. And my brother Bilal Salahuddin, and by default, his beautiful queen, Sister Sonia Dalton Salahuddin. How you doing, big brother? Appreciate you. And my other brother from Canada, my main man, Adam Khan. Wa alaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And also from South Carolina. What it do in South Carolina, Eric? Wa alaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm gonna hit a couple people. Oh, we got some folks. Sister Fatima, Mema Joe, Ismail, Nordine, and Super Summer. Thank you so much for joining us on Instagram. So I want to also, when I get a chance, I want to give a shout out to our executive producer, Sister Tana Whitfield, without which our show is not as pristine as it can be. I appreciate all her for doing. She does a lot of stuff. So shout out to her. She could join us today. But let's get to this misnomer about revolutionaries. People sometimes commingle revolutionaries with leadership. Commingle revolutionaries with leadership. Sometimes revolutionaries don't get to the point of being leaders. They have to present an idea that's countercultural to present day leadership. And at this point in time, we are not producing revolutionaries. We're producing parrots. As Denzel said, you know, this ain't chess, it's checkers. That's a wonderful, wonderful way to put it. If you understand the dynamics of where you are, in terms of geopolitics, think of the United States. The groups that butt heads are what? Blacks and whites. If you look in the Middle East, the groups that butt heads are what? Huh? That's right. Muslims and Jews. In the space of sexuality, what groups butt heads? Heterosexuals and homosexual lesbians. People understand that, you know, it's a pawn game. When I'm saying pawn, P-A-W-N, it's largely due to the fact that everyone is being moved around geopolitically to get in one argument or another argument. So one day it may be the Muslims against the LGBTQ, another day may be the Jews against the blacks, and so on and so on and so on. What we haven't done is develop a curriculum whereby we teach one another. Let me tell you guys where I am right now in 2024. I'm in Australia right now, but I was around one day and looking. And when you get out of the United States, you get to a foreign country. Look at how they cover your country. It's not great. But my point was, I literally had to sit down and go, can I survive in the United States? Can I survive in the United States? And I'm not talking about, just gonna, meaning that, am I going to be part of an ecosystem that's healthy for me, mostly spiritually, financially? And am I going to be able to produce, if I stay in the United States, can I produce something that's countercultural that keeps me in a space where I can embrace my own wellness? And the answer convincingly becomes I know. We have an election and people are talking about, the lesser two evils. Even that points to the fact that somehow I condone evil, that I don't condone excellence. And we're beginning to see this on and on and on. And this is not the first time, brothers and sisters. It's just the caliber of these candidates is so bad, it's glaring. But we had it with other candidates. You had it with Trump and Clinton. You had it with Barack Obama and McCain. We had that. And understanding that the undergirding of it is the politics don't change. I remember going off one day. It was during COVID. And I expressed that maybe there's something to be said about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad saying that we need to separate ourselves. That's not segregation. That's not racism. That's intelligence. In any other space, if you saw something that was unhealthy, you would extract yourself. If you were in a room full of drug dealers and you don't deal drugs, you would remove yourself. If you had a Catholic church and you're not Catholic, you might move yourself, right? Only with African Americans is it somehow regarded as treasonous or unpatriotic for us to remove ourselves from a society that's done no good for us along the way. Who wants to hang on to that? Nobody want to hang on to that. Zero. Only us thinking this way somehow affects the public conscience that somehow there's something wrong with us. If you're trying to kill me, you can't be mad that I either one, move away from you, or two, I exerted action and make sure that there's a counter reaction, that I'm just not a victim. And then over and over, we begin to understand that these people now, because you're going to see some weird stuff in this election. You're going to see some very weird stuff in this election. And it's based upon the fact that people who have been killers, people who have been liars, people who have been despicable now have a place in the public space whereby they can sit with you at a table. They can sit with you at your church. They can sit with you at your job. And you can do nothing about it. You know why? Because they've been under the surface, but now they have a platform, or they have situations or scenarios that allow them to sit right there in front of you. They kill people in front of our eyes, and all we can do is protest. They steal from us, and all we can do is protest and moan. We don't have the power or wherewithal, politically in most regards, to say something. And now we have what I would say is a revolutionary deficit, because everybody that comes with an original idea, a meaningful truth, is somehow cast aside or limited, or I will say relegated to dispersal behavior, because you're dealing with people who have no ideas. You're dealing with people who have no conscience. But now they're in the mainstream. Let me give it, and I'm gonna throw this one up. I don't know if you saw Savior's Day with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If you can go towards the end of that and watch his take on the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, and really understand that the ADL was a financial move. It was a financial move. Control the currency, the ability to print money. Now, people don't go, oh, preach, what are you talking about? You've got to look at it and read the book, The Palestine Lab. You've got to read these books, brothers and sisters. For years and years and years and years, we've been told, particularly when we have an idea that doesn't align with someone, somehow it's conspiracy. These are not conspiracy theories, brothers and sisters. A while back, Allah is my guy. A while back, I did a show talking about somehow Hamas was being sexualized. It was saying that the people who were held hostage were sexually assaulted by Hamas folks. Now, Allah knows best. But I said then, it's interesting because if you look at history, they did the same thing with black folks. We talk about sexual brutality against black slave women, but you know what they want to talk about? They don't want to talk about the sexual brutality against black slave men and what that meant to the leadership quality and what that meant to public persona in those areas, that you have been put through something and people looked at you as less as a man. You see what I'm saying? In that article, which was in the New York Times, it was found out to be false. The person who wrote the article, guess what? Was not a reporter, was not a journalist, was a small-scale filmmaker, and guess what? Had never written an article of conscience. Anyway, somehow they wound up getting a job writing a whole expose on what? These Muslim devils are sexually assaulting these Jewish hostages, and that was the call to arms. No evidence. Hear me now. No evidence. They had people who refuted it. People said, no, this didn't happen to my relative. They ran with it anyway. No retraction, right? No retraction. No admitting of wrongdoing. No admitting of lying. They just simply packed up and went away. You close or you deactivate your social media platform and you're good. These are the times that we live in. So if I would put this down even more clear, I would express to everybody, and I want to say communities of color, Muslim religious communities, and the Black church, that there needs to be, particularly in this election year, a separation, not between church and state, but a separation between sanity and insanity, a separation between truth and deception, a separation between caring and exploitation. There's no other way to do it. Excuse me. There's no other way to do it. You can't call it anything else than what you're seeing. And I think the thing that's even more important is now, on the other side of this election, please pay attention to what's going on in the education space. Because now you have literally 8 years of children who have been giving mixed messages. And I don't mean just mixed messages from the politicians. I mean mixed messages from their own community. We have to fight to not have sex education taught to first, second, and third graders. We have to understand that there are people with agendas that now feel that society is weak enough. Our resistance is so low that they can do whatever they want to. Again, we don't know who the killers are because the killers kill in plain sight and go back to their regular scheduled program. We have to be the voice. When I say revolutionaries don't have 401k plans, it means that you're going to have to lay it on the line. We can protest, and I understand it makes us feel better. But when it comes down to it, you're going to have to lay it on the line. And here in the United States, more so than Gaza and Palestine, we have to lay it on the line. We are not just people of protest, people of passion, people of conscience. We are people of action. And when I say action, I mean whether it's punitive, whether it's social, whether it's political, these are the levers that can control what happens over in Gaza and Palestine. I'll tell you this. If we had the pressure, brothers and sisters, and the practice to put pressure points on politicians who deal with disbursement, who deal with military aid packages that go to Palestine, and they went from, they've gotten 12 billion, they're getting 3 billion. What if we took it to zero? What if they didn't do what we told them they do? What if we told them that if you don't do these qualifying actions, you get no money? Here in the United States, here in the United States, if we don't do our job, if we don't meet certain qualifications, certain benchmarks, follow a particular rubric, you may not get paid. You may not advance in your job. You may not be able to stay married if you're not meeting the qualifications of a wife, a husband, or expectations of your job. In religion, we have checkpoints for rubrics. It's not about being a perfect Muslim or perfect Christian, but it says these are the things that keep you in the wellspring of this religion. We don't do that anymore. We're afraid to talk about we are different. We're talking about these are the reasons we are different. They have a lot of things with interfaith. Let me tell you something. It's not interfaith. They call it interfake. You need to say it's great to talk about religion, but in the end, you unto you and me unto me, and let's have a piece of cake. All right. That's not no knock on interfaith, but I'm like, let's be honest. It doesn't change the dialogue. Everybody wants to be the winning team in religion, in sports, in politics. Everybody want to be on the winning team. That being said, it is now the point where we need to have a clear understanding of policy, number one, strategy, dealing with two despot candidates who will do nothing for us. They are not equipped. Hear me now. They are not equipped to deal with the needs of revolutionary thought, of people who think differently than them, of people who go, hey, here's a bright idea. You're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, billions of dollars to Israel. What can we do? What can we do, if you will, to have billions of dollars stay here and have a domestic program? Take 19, give us 10, and let's see what we can do. Okay. So let me throw this out here, because I'm getting ready to get out of here. Y'all been great. But I'm going to emphasize, once again, that we move from groupthink to revolutionary thought. That we begin to ask questions about separating ourselves from groupthink, from the wisdom of, and it's not even the wisdom of the crowd, it's the wickedness of the crowd, getting away from the wickedness of the crowd and having meaningful thoughts that focus on the poor, that focus on children, the development of families, the development of education systems. That these are the things that improve our society and over time improve the quality of life. If we're not going to do that, you might as well check the box for either one of them, because we're going to lose with either candidate. All right. I'm out of here. Y'all have been great. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for bearing with me. The next time we do the shout out show, inshallah, I will be stateside and you'll be able to hear what I'm talking about. Take care. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Think revolutionaries do not have 401ks. Love you. Assalamu alaikum.